it's me Alex. Today I am doing a 3 looks 1 palette video for y'all featuring the colored Raine Safari Raine palette. Now this palette actually sold out and is officially discontinued now. I got this on the last restock on Colored Raine's website, but you can get a lot of these shades as singles. So I figured this video would be good to provide some inspiration if you do have this palette or if you have similar colors in your collection. I haven't even shown you all the colors in this palette. This is what it looks like. I am very, very happy. This is a very Alex kind of earthy toned color scheme, which is one of the sorts of themes that I really enjoy for my makeup. So I have 3 looks using this. I'm thinking for future 3 looks on palette videos I might format them a little bit differently, just because filming 3 looks on 3 separate days is like a lot for me to do. So I'm going to experiment with different styles of doing it. That way I can get through a lot more of the palettes that I have purchased recently and y'all can get more tutorials with them. Just as a quick review of the palette, Colored Raine shadows are just fabulous. I only just tried them this summer and I really truly wish that I had tried them sooner. The mattes blend so very nicely. The shimmers, you don't even need a glitter glue for them. All of this is just over a regular eye primer. I do use glitter glue in some of my other looks featuring this palette, but that's mostly just because I want to do a little bit more of a precise look. This palette is absolutely wonderful. I have this and the Vivid Pigments palette. I think both of those are very top-notch in terms of quality. Colored Raine is just doing some good things for the makeup world. Anyway, I think this video is going to be a long one since I'm doing like 3 different tutorials for y'all, so let's go ahead and get into the looks. Okay, so it's time for look number 1. I already have my eyes primed, so that way we can get that step out of the way. Use whatever primer you want. I use an NYX HD eyeshadow primer. You probably know that already though, because that's what I always use. Weirdly, I'm very excited about the shade Amazon Basin, which I know is one of the more neutral ones. So like that's kind of odd for me, but I really want to kind of make that the spotlight. So I'm actually going to begin with the shade Clay here on the e.l.f. and J.Kissa J3 brush, and I'm going to just use that as my transition shade. I think I kind of want to do a halo eye with that brown as a spotlight. I am just blending this into my crease. This is going very, very easily. I've always found, well, from the limited time I've had with Colored Raine shadows, I feel like they're very, very easy to blend. And since this is just like a very neutral brown, I'm not surprised that this one is going as easily as it is. Okay, next I am going to use the shade Matriarch here on this more precise, thick blending brush from BH Cosmetics. And I'm going to make that like on the inner and outer portion of the eyes. First, I'm just beginning by packing it on there and blending it up into the crease just a little bit, so that way it is all nice and blended. And I'm just blending that into the middle. I'm not taking any extra on necessarily. I'm just, you know, popping it up there. And since this eye became a little bit more blown out than this eye, I really do want to emphasize the first shade just towards the edges, so that way it can have a little bit of depth. So I'm just going back and blending that around the edges of this look. Okay, so now that we're going to kind of get into the halo part of this eye, I'm going to use the e.l.f. glitter glue, which is like $3, and this little pencil-y type brush that I always use with it. And I'm just going to carve out the center of my eye. Now, Colored Raine's shimmers are honestly really, really pigmented to begin with, so you don't necessarily need to do this. You could just put it on with your finger, but I really like that a glitter glue kind of gives it a little extra oomph in there. And it just also kind of, I just stabbed myself in the eye, so that's great. I feel like it also gives me a little bit of like extra precision when I am able to kind of look up and, you know, see where the glitter glue kind of ends, if that makes sense. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with Amazon Basin and just put that down everywhere that I put the glitter glue down. Oh, and I am like digging into it a lot, but that's what I do. That is a very, very beautiful shimmer. And then I'm just going to go back with a little bit more of Matriarch to blend out the edges of that. Next, I do want to provide like a little bit of a pop of color along my lower lash line. So I'm going to really just use the shade Jungle right here, which is that beautiful, beautiful matte teal. And I'm just taking, I don't know what this kind of brush is, but this kind of brush, and just floofing it along my lower lash line because I like to be very technical with the way I word my techniques. And then finally on my inner corner, I'm going to go in with the shade Lioness here. Okay, so now I am going to go finish off the rest of my makeup. I might pop on a little brow bone highlight, maybe some eyeliner, mascara, and the rest of my face, and I will be right back. Okay, so I am back. The rest of my face is done. I decided to do a little bit more of a pop on my lips since I realized I haven't really properly done that in a long time. So I wanted to really mix it up, and so I decided that since the lower lash line shade was kind of a teal, I would go in with Scythe from Makeup Monsters before their rebrand. I don't know what this shade would be called now, but I really like it. I think that this accentuates the teal lower lash line very nicely, and so this is the finished first look. Okay, so it's time for look number 2. I actually already had some makeup on my face today, so I just took off the eye portion of it so that way I could do this. Not that y'all need that much of an explanation, but hey. So I'm thinking for this look, I kind of want to focus on like the warm and green tones. So I'm thinking I'm going to begin with the shade Congo Basin here in the crease. And I'm just using the e.l.f. and J. Kissa J3 brush. And so I'm just swirling that in and placing that in my crease. And this is very nice and pigmented. I really have come to love Colored Raine's shadows. They just apply so very easily, and I really, really like that. I also just love a good olive green. That is very much like one of my favorite kinds of shades to wear. And I'm going to put that towards the outer corner as well. And kind of just to explain, when I move it towards the outer corner, I'm kind of dabbing it on. That way the darkest portion of the shadow can really be concentrated there. And then I just blend out the edges like this. Okay, and for this look I kind of want to do something a little bit softer, not quite as intense as a cut crease. So I'm going to begin with the shade Green Valley here. That's the middle shade, and I'm not going to put down a glitter glue or anything like that. I'm just going to really focus that towards the center of my lid. I'm not taking it over all the way because there is, like, I want to add one more shade to the lid, and we're just making this pretty soft, pretty easy, but as you can see, you don't really need a base or anything under it extra. You don't need to wet your brush or anything like that. The shimmers, just the shadows in general from Colored Raine, are very nice and pigmented. The only reason I ever really do use the glitter glue is to make a little bit more of a sharper line for when I want to do a cut crease or anything like that. And then I'm just going to take the other side of that same brush and use the shade Toucan towards the inner portion, and this one is a little bit more of a goldy shade rather than a greeny shade, but I find that they complement each other quite nicely. And as you can see, kind of what I'm doing when I'm blending that into the center, I'm taking it a little bit over the green itself. That way the two shades can melt together pretty nicely. I'm just going to go back with the DazeyLA brush on that same matte olive green and blend that in the crease and the outer corner. And you don't need to blend it too terribly much. You can give it a little bit of a half-cut crease effect if you want. I just want this one to be a little bit softer because I feel like I've been doing a lot of half-cut creases recently. Okay, so now we're moving on to the lower lash line portion of this look. I'm going to begin with the shade Clay here, and I am just going to use the fluffy end of an Anastasia brush and to begin to apply that. That isn't going to be our main shade down there, but it's going to provide a nice little grungy transition for the shade I actually want to put down there. And you can just do that very simple. This one blends super nicely, so you don't have to work too much. And then to make the color really pop, what I really want to focus on is the shade Tigress here, which is this kind of like bright reddish orange, like a blood orange, if you will.
Blood orange? She's so pretentious. Shut up, it's red.
And I'm going to take that on the other end of that Anastasia brush and focus that a little bit closer towards the lash line. Does it make the biggest difference in the world? No. Does it make me happy? Yes. And you can especially focus it towards the inner portion so that way it'll blend with the inner corner highlight. Speaking of, I'm taking the obvious choice from this palette, Lioness, right here, and popping that on the inner corner. Okay, so that's basically it for the eyes. I might add some wing liner. We'll see when I come back. And I'm going to come back with some lipstick. Maybe I'll pop my highlight a little bit more, you know, touch that up from earlier today. Yeah, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I decided that some wing liner would look pretty good with this look. I do not think that I am wrong. The lipstick that I am wearing is Mum from Melt Cosmetics, which honestly I think is a really good lipstick to pair with this palette in general. When I've done eye looks with this palette before, that one's kind of a standard for me, so it looks really nice with a lot of the different colors that are in there. And yeah, this is the finished look. Okay, so for this last look, I kind of want to lean into some of the warmer neutral shades, just because I feel like I've done some very bold looks so far. So I'm going to begin with Clay, and I'm going to use this Wet n Wild blending brush that is really, really old and messed up, and I'm going to just pick that up and blend it into my crease. I'm also going to just take that on the outer and inner corner very lightly and very easily. Okay, so now we're moving on to the lid shade. I'm going to take Tigress here, and that I'm just going to place on the very center of my lid, just kind of in that open space. And I'm using the DazeyLA J1 brush. Like I said, I just wanted to do a little bit more of an easy kind of neutral look. Well, this is neutral for me. I know that it's pretty bright, but it's neutral in my book. And then I'm just going to go back with that first brush with nothing else on it and use that to kind of blend out the edges. As you can see, it almost looks like it's just like all one shade, but you can see just like a little bit of the more browny shade as a transition. And then I'm going to go in with more of that transition shade along my lower lash line. And then to kind of spice things up a tiny bit, I'm going to use the shade Toucan as my inner corner highlight. Pardon my nails, they look quite awful. Okay, so that was really quick. But you know, I think that this is a really good and easy eye look, so I'm gonna do my mascara and the rest of my face. I'm not sure how much of the rest of my face I'm going to do, mostly because today is my errand day. I have to go to the post office, so I'm gonna be wearing a mask, so I don't know how much of a point there would be to do anything to like this half of my face. But I'll decide that and then y'all will see. Okay, I am back. This is a finished look. I just put on a little bit of bronzer and highlight and a clear gloss because I think, you know, that's all that I really feel like doing today since I'll be wearing a mask. So yeah, I am really happy with this look. I know it was super quick, but I feel like it turned out really bold and beautiful and I like it a lot. Alright y'all, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe down below if you want to see more videos from me, and I will see y'all in my next one. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Bye!